I thought I'd started recording, but now it's recording. So
Oh,
that was just
okay.
that was just pre-chat.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody will miss out on that. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to do a podcast with you guys. Um, Me and Mike send reels to each other like 17 hours a day, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my other
And
job. Yeah.
yeah, you're a full-time reel reader or
Yeah.
real viewer.
Yeah.
It's like I'll get a ton of reels and I'll get like 9 or 10 reels at a time. And then I have to go, okay, I got to watch all these. And
Yeah.
I don't ever react to it. I don't hit the smiley face on it until I've watched it.
Yeah. And they're
I'm
and they're
bad
all
about
and they're all good. We pick out quality reels to send to each other.
That's right. We both, I think all three of us have a similar dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
I'm bad because I'll like read them and then I'll be like, ah, that was good, and then I forget it and I forget to respond. I just delete it, and then people hate me.
Well, um, how far apart do you guys live from each other? I'm in Mississippi.
It's like as long as traffic's not too bad, it's like an hour and a half.
Okay, it's not too bad.
I
Yeah.
got a couple weeks ago. I got there in like an hour and 5 minutes.
Hmm,
The
that's
problem is
pretty
I have to
good.
go pretty much straight through downtown Columbus to get to his house. Like he's on the way south and I'm on the north. So the Columbus factor is the biggest problem. If I can just shoot straight through like there's no traffic, it's not that big of a deal, but if I get into that rush hour traffic, then it's a huge nightmare.
Yeah. Hmm.
But it's
Well,
worth it.
before this app started actually recording, we were talking about induction forges and how both of you guys got induction forges in 2024 and what a game changer it was for both of you. And then we talked about the price a little bit. But the point I wanted with bringing that up was when I was thinking about what to talk about on the podcast today, since all three of us have induction machines, you know, it changed how I do my business when I got it. I was doing a lot of batch work ahead of previously. I was doing a lot of hammers and bigger items, but when I got induction, if I couldn't make it in induction, I took it off my website, you know, because it
Yeah.
was just so crazy fast to make things with induction that it just didn't make sense for me from like a business perspective to keep it on the website when it was going to wind up taking me a lot of time to make. And so, have you guys, since you got your machines, have you changed what you're doing or have you just changed the heat that you're using to make them, if that makes
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, I'm just kind of dipping my toes into it and making stuff like my skillet handles and center punches and coffee scoops or like steak flippers. But I still make a bunch of the hammers and axes. I just need to kind of find the right coils for those kind of things.
Hmm. Yeah, Rob Huff called me or messaged me the other day, and he was asking me if he could heat 2 inch round in his induction. Trying to think if he's got a 25 or a 15 kilowatt. I can't remember, but anyway, I told him you probably can. He was wanting to use a 3 inch coil, and I said you
Yeah,
probably can, but the outside is going to heat so fast
yeah,
that you might start throwing sparks on the outside before the inside gets hot enough. So I said, what you can do is, get it, stick it in there and get it really hot, and then bring it out and let the heat soak in, and then put it back in the coil, hit it again, and do that 2, 3 times, and you probably will get enough of it hot. And I don't know if he was talking about doing a hammer or not, but if you're talking about a billet that's 3 or 4 inches long, those coils, you could probably get the middle of one of those big billets hot enough to punch,
yeah.
but
You
it would take a while.
I've heated up 2 inch or inch and a quarter, inch and 3/4 hammer faces, and it took me like a minute and a half just to get the hammer faces hot. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Yeah.
enough to quench. Um, it would just take a long time. You got to put your foot on that pedal for longer than you think.
Yeah. Do you find that you make stuff like one at a time now with induction,
Uh,
or do you, because with propane, I used to do like batch work. I'd fill the propane forge full up of spikes to do railroad spikes, stake turners, and all that. But now I
uh,
kind of just do them one at a time.
yeah, I just do one at a time stuff. All my stuff kind of varies. Like I'll have maybe two hammers, and then I'll have like a couple axes and a coffee scoop, and then later on I'll have something, some skillets or something like that. It varies. So I just do
Hmm.
one at a time stuff.
Yeah. About you, Joey?
I think the biggest thing that I found with it was if I was trying to do batch stuff, like I've been having a lot of luck with these like keychain pry bars recently,
Hmm.
and whether it was that or bottle openers or whatever, um, it seems like when I did batches, I wouldn't be great at um, it's like I would kind of like rush through stuff if I need to make a correction or something like that. Um, I'd kind of look past it or whatever. But with the induction forge, it's like I'll do one at a time and I'll have no problems uh, just making corrections on one thing and getting that one thing perfect or whatever. And it'll be way faster doing it one at a time than it used to be doing batch work.
Yeah. Hmm. Do you do your I don't do you do your stuff off a website?
Yeah.
So does most of your business come through your website, or do you do like local stuff too?
Um, it's kind of both. I like a lot of the bottle openers and keychains I sell at a knife store, and they'll run through them pretty quickly. So a lot of the stuff is try to keep them supplied with those. Um, and then the website. It's just kind of scattered. Honestly, I think this year that's kind of one of my goals is to have some of those like specific items that I really push through the website so that I got more of a steady flow on that. Because I really haven't, I've not done any actual like planned marketing to this point. Everything's just kind of been like, um, whatever comes in, but I haven't like tried to like, I'm going to really push this and direct people to the site and try to sell this product.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna hone in on a couple things like that and try to push those a little bit more this year.
That's
Just
people. I get that kind of question a lot from people. Like, I want to start trying to do like I want to do like a formal business. I want to start selling on a website. How should I go about that? And my go-to piece of advice is to set up a website, pick one thing, just one thing, and get really good at that one thing, whether it's a bottle opener or a spatula or a skillet or a hammer or whatever. Just do the one thing for a little while and just ruthlessly focus on that and get really good at it, which will also make you really fast at it, and cater your social media around that one thing, like,
yeah,
and not just like showing how you're making it all the time, but show you using it or show other people using it and show you know, your process videos, how you're forging it. And once you do that one thing and it starts to take off, then you set that one aside as a standard item, and do it again. Pick a second thing and just do it really good and basically kind of focus on nothing else. Say no to all the custom stuff and just focus on that second thing and then just keep doing that over and over, and then eventually you've got like a catalog of stuff out there. And
yeah,
that's worked for me.
Yeah,
yeah. I
I,
like
I,
I like the custom stuff sometimes, but then a lot of times I'll get into something and I'm like, I wish I hadn't done
Oh,
this,
I know. I
and
hate it.
like taking your time and you're like, I really wasn't that excited about this to begin with, and
Yeah, I've tried to put my finger on why I hate it so much, but I just if it's not my idea nowadays, I just don't want to do it. Really, no
Yeah,
matter
It's
what it
not every
is.
time. Like there's been things that people have asked for, and I'm like, oh wow, that'd be really cool. And I was like excited about, trying to figure out a way to do it or whatever. Like those fire
Yeah,
tongs, like I thought that was cool having the kind of like dragon claw type things for the ends or whatever. Like I hadn't really seen tongs like that before. I was like, ah, that's a cool idea. I'll try that.
yeah,
And you can learn some cool stuff doing stuff like that. But then I think again that comes back into like where like are you doing it for the sake of the art or are you doing it for profit? Because if you're just doing it because you think it's like a cool piece that you want to try to figure out, great. But don't
yeah,
expect to be profitable if you're doing it for the love of the art because there's going to be all kinds of
yeah.
stuff you're
That's
going to
true.
lose your ass off on.
What were you about to say,
yeah,
Mike?
yeah. For me, since it's my main gig, I'll just do anything within reason, though. If it's something that I wouldn't make any knives or anything because I don't do that. But if it's something close to what I make, I'll go ahead and do it. And it'll be. Sometimes I'll look at it as a challenge too. Sometimes I look at
Oh
customs
yeah,
as
sure.
like, well, if I learn how to do this, I could add another skill to the toolbox. You know.
Oh yeah. There have been times when I've taken on something like that simply because I think, oh man, this could actually become a product. This could be something that I do on a regular basis. And
Yeah.
I've done that before, but I kind of have like I've got ideas for products in my head that I haven't had a chance to get to yet, you know. Fortunately, because I've stayed so busy with what I've been doing. And when I take on the custom stuff, it just seems to kind of kick that other stuff down the road even further. And I think that's what kind of frustrates me about the custom stuff.
Yeah.
But I hate it's just hard, man. I still hate telling people no. But um, I do
I'll,
more
I'll,
often than not.
yeah, I'll tell people no, but if it's something similar, if it's like a different kind of axe than I already make, I'll try it.
Yeah.
But knives or anything like that, I don't attempt.
Yeah. I flat out refuse to do knives anymore. I get I get
Yeah.
Speaking of
I
which,
get asked quite a bit, don't you do it?
speaking of which,
Don't do it.
does I mean, since we're in the presence of this Forge and Fire greatness,
I knew
um,
it.
did so I got there was a Forge and Fire like post or something on Facebook, and it was like some challenge where they had like four guys and they were trying to make like it was like a siege machine, like a like self-supported battering ram or something, and they
Yeah.
had like I want to say it was like 6 hours or something like ridiculous. And I commented on there. I was like, this is what like annoys me about this show is like you've got this massive thing, and it's like, there you go, you got 6 hours, and I'm like, what are you gonna do with 6 hours for something like that, And it seems
Yeah.
like everything is like that. It's just like whatever. And I'm telling you what, I had people just berating me like, oh well, let us know when your show comes out, and we'll see if it's any better. And uh, like, well, then why are you saying anything if it's so bad? Just shut up and don't watch it. So my question, I don't think I've run into like any. I can't think of any like blacksmiths, which I have a hard time even calling myself a blacksmith. But any people who are like legitimately into blacksmithing or whatever that are like fans of the show. So have you run into anybody who's like and they're blacksmith and they're like, no, it really is a good show. Like it's not realistic, but I really love watching it.
Well, the guy that introduced me to the show is a local blacksmith here in Mississippi, and he was on in season two. I went and took a hammer class from him. His name's Lyle Wynn. Super talented blacksmith. And he had just finished his episode when I went and took a the Brian Brazil tools class from him. And so it was a blacksmith that inspired me to go on the show. Um, but um, I've known some other blacksmiths that have been asked to go on the show. who didn't, I, I won't name names, but um, I think you would know who I'm talking about, and and they decided not to go. It's a game show. It's a game
Yeah,
show, and it's a show that's got to make. It's designed to make that producer or producing company money, and if it's not making money, then it's going to fall off the air, which I think is why they were having trouble in this last year. Last I heard with season 10, there were like 40 episodes that were still unreleased, like episodes that had already been filmed. And you had people that went through the show and they've become a champion, and their episode hadn't aired, and they won't get a payout until it airs.
right.
And they, the show kind of went off for a few months and nobody knew if it was coming back. And the reality is that those people aren't ever guaranteed to do that. And it's not like, I don't know, I think in some circles of bladesmithing, among a lot of the people that are just getting into knife making, they think that going on that show is going to be some instant success. It's going to be like it's going to blow them up, and they're going to become a knife maker, full time, and live the dream, so to speak. But that rarely happens. But I will say this about the show: when I was on the show, I was impressed with how we lost Mike, I think. I was
Mike.
im- I was impressed with how concerned they were with rules and fairness. Like they were straight legitimate about rules and fairness. And I had a ball. It was a lot of fun doing the show. And of course, winning helped. Um, and I tried to take full advantage of that little bump in social media exposure that I was going to get. Um, but to be honest with you, I haven't watched the show since season 6 on a regular basis. I mean, I've seen a few episodes here and there, but I changed my TV provider away and I don't get the History Channel now. So it's kind of a pain in the tail for me to go and try to watch one. And so I haven't watched any of season 9 or season 8, I think. I just kind of lost interest because of what you're saying. It got to be, let's see how stressed out we can make them, uh,
Yeah.
and what a pressure cooker we could put them in, uh, to try to, come up with some dramatic failure. Which I get it.
Well,
You've
and
got to
like
have 3 people fail out. You've got to
for
have that.
me, if it was like if it was like an even playing field, hey, here's you each get a bar of a known steel. Here's the,
Yeah,
ingredients you have or whatever to make this thing. Now go. To me, that would be more interesting to be like, so what does each of these guys do with the same material instead of like,
yeah.
here's a pile of nuts and bolts.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Let's
When
see
they
who gets
started
lucky
bringing
enough to
in,
get this thing, and it's like you don't know how to heat treat it. I'm like,
right.
this isn't what knife making is about, like just guessing at what type of
Yeah,
quench I need to do because I have no idea what kind of steel like. I'm like, you could change a few things and I feel like make it legitimately better for people who actually,
yeah, yeah,
are interested in bladesmithing or blacksmithing or whatever. But that type of stuff, like, it just kills it for me because I'm like, it's just such a crapshoot. Like, you could have a
yeah.
fantastic guy, but he just happened to grab, you know, the wrong type of steel, and it's like it cracks when he quenches it or whatever, and it's like, well,
I
you're gone.
think, yeah, I think a lot of people who are still really big fans of the show are not involved in making.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the
My
people that are knife makers and blacksmiths have kind of gotten tired of it.
Yeah.
yeah, my favorite part of the show is getting to see uh the two guys that are head to head, getting to see their home shops and
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
watching them make stuff in their home shop. But I like the beginning foraging. I don't care much for the handle part, but my favorite part is seeing the home shop.
oh yeah. I told somebody at one point, I thought, man, they could do a spin-off where they just did shop tours, of
Yeah.
Oh
all different makers, and I'd be glued to the set. I would love to watch that.
Be like
Um,
cribs, but
yeah,
their shop.
exactly. Yeah, cribs, blacksmith cribs edition. Because
Yeah.
you'd get to see, oh, hey, look, this homemade power hammer that I made, or look at this jig that I've got, and it might not appeal to everybody, but I bet you could do a streaming show. That would
Yeah.
probably, hey, we should do that. We should,
Yeah.
yeah.
we should do
Speaking,
that. We
uh,
should all travel and record that.
I'm in. Speaking of homemade hammers, that new house-made hammer is looking pretty sweet.
Yeah, that is I think it's Joshua Delisle is the guy that made that hammer
Yeah,
first, I think. I think that's the Delisle plan, if I'm not
it's a
mistaken.
cool
It's
design.
a really cool looking hammer, yeah. And the first thing I thought when I saw it, I was like, "Hey, I've got an air compressor now, or half of one." And I
Yeah.
was thinking, man, that'd be
Almost.
that'd be cool. I could run one of those.
You
Yeah.
know, there's a whole new world open to you now since you got an air compressor. You could use.
Yeah, well, I've had
Uh,
an air compressor. I've had an air compressor, but it was a junky little Harbor Freight job, like a 20-gallon
yeah.
tank, and it wasn't strong enough to really run. Like I could run an impact wrench on it, and it would cycle,
Now
all
you
the
could.
time trying to keep
Now
up with it.
now you could use needle scalers, dynaphiles. All kinds of
Oh
stuff
yeah,
now.
yeah. I've got a lot of work to do to get that going. First I've got to wait on that pump to come in. The fiasco of the pump when I dropped the air compressor and breaking it. Man, I got super lucky. I got a hold of this guy at Ingersoll Rand who just was a super nice guy. I mean, he was just super, super nice. And he said, "Man, it sounds like you bought yourself a Christmas present and then threw it on the ground." And I said, I said, "That's pretty much what I did." And he said, "That's really a heartbreaker. I hate to hear that for you." He said, "Why don't we just send you a new pump?" And I was floored, and just
Yeah, that's
absolutely
sweet.
floored. Yeah, super nice. But once I get that thing together, I've got a lot of work to do to get it in place. I've got to put it into place. I've got to run some wiring for it. I've got to run two more 220 outlets in the shop, one for the compressor and one for the CNC table, or one for the um, plasma torch that's coming. And so I've got
Are you
it's
gonna
probably going to be 3 months before I get everything in place.
are you gonna put your compressor inside or leave it outside?
Oh, inside. Yeah, it'll be inside and it'll be loud. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably leave it off when I'm not using it, and just kick
Yeah.
it on when I need to.
Yeah, I just use my power hammer all the time, and always using the air hose, and I just have to put it outside. I had it in my first shop. I had it inside, and it was just so noisy, you know. And it was the best decision I ever made to put it outside.
Hmm. I've got a lean-to behind my shop that's covered, and there's actually a small little building. It used to be a chicken coop that's
Yeah,
enclosed, and
in in,
I
in
could put
Mississippi,
it back there.
in Mississippi, where you're at, you don't have to worry about the weather as much like I do up here. With all the snow and
Oh
all
yeah,
this.
yeah. I would just need to keep it out of the rain.
Yeah, yeah. Just put a roof over it. Paul Beisler, he has the same compressor that we have pretty much, and he leaves it out in the rain. It doesn't even have
Really?
any. Yeah, he'll just replace the electric motor on it every few years.
Golly. Well, he
I'm
uses
like,
a lot of air. I know that.
yeah,
Like everything he's got is some kind of air tool, it seems.
yeah,
Hmm.
but it's it,
Yeah, I'm
it's
looking
nice.
forward to getting it in. I might wind up putting it behind the shop. I think initially I'll try it inside, but I've got to figure out some way to dry the air too,
Yeah,
because from what I understand, the plasma torch really needs dry air or it'll chew up consumables real bad.
yeah.
And
You got to
So
buy
are
a.
you doing anything to dry yours or?
Yeah, I have a dryer, but it's not a high quality one, so you'll get a little bit of wetness in there. Um, but it's just something that I got off of eBay. But I'm sure if you buy a more
Yeah.
high quality dryer, it would work better.
I've seen these guys that run like an array of pipe on the wall, um, and having the hot air go through all that copper pipe cools it, and then they'll put ball valves on the bottom of the copper pipe array, and every once in a while they just go by and release the moisture out, and that seems to keep it out. And then I saw one today, a video where a guy took a transmission oil radiator looking thing,
Yeah,
and he had it mounted on his air compressor. And so the air went from the compressor through that radiator and then into the tank. And he said that took out like 75% of the moisture. And then he just had one of those inline moisture filters, you
oh
know,
wow.
taking out the rest of it. And I looked and it was like $150 to buy one of those radiator things, but it looked like it was a pretty plug and play solution. So anyway, I don't know. I've got a lot of
Wh-
work to do to get that
Whatever,
going.
yeah, whatever you could get. My power hammer, it doesn't matter if there's a little bit of water in there. It just. But that CNC table, you probably need it all out.
Yeah, yeah. And it'll be a while before that table's built. I mean, I just finished 3D printing the parts for that, and I haven't purchased any of the, like I got to purchase all the stepper motors and the electronics, and I got to wire it all up and create the control box and program it and buy the steel and drill all the holes in the steel and fabricate the table that the motors and all go on, and then I got to put all the 3D printed parts and all that together to put it. So it's going to be one of those things that once I go get the steel and kind of cut all the steel and get all the holes and then kind of put that s- table together like an erector set, that's the easy part.
Yeah.
Once that part's done, then I'll probably just going to work on it a couple of hours here and there until I get it until I get it going. But I do hope that I think my plasma cutter should be here next week. I hope to go ahead and get it going so I can use the plasma cutter just in the shop to cut steel. I've never had one of those.
Oh yeah.
Is your plan to use that to like cut out the like bottle opener blanks and stuff like that, and then sell them?
Well, not really. I don't think I'll be able to beat the price per item like those bottle opener blanks I order from Send Cut Send, you know, and you can design a part, send it to them, they cut it and send it back, and you're paying for the material from them and you're paying for their time on the laser that they're cutting it out with. And like if I order 50 to 100 of those things, they're economical enough that I don't think I'll be able to do them very much cheaper in my shop.
Right.
But what I would like to do is be able to do my own prototyping in the shop. So, like I've got these little one piece coffee scoops now that I'm doing, and they're laser cut blanks. Um, and to develop those, I had to design, I went through three or four different designs, and then I had to order, from Send Cut Send, like 10 of each design at a time because it didn't make sense to order just one. And so every time I tried to a different version of that one piece coffee scoop, that was like a 2 week wait time to develop it, send it, them cut it, send it back to me, and then me try it and go, oh, this doesn't work the way I thought it was going to work. Let me go
Right.
inside and change it and try it again. And so having my own CNC table is going to allow me to do that kind of prototyping. So if I want to make a one piece ladle, out of sheet steel or something that I cut out and press, I don't want to have to go through that multi-week period of design with Send Cut Send, even though they're great. And so what I envision happening is I'll do my prototyping in-house and make the first few things on my own. And then once I have the design exactly the way I like it, then I'll send it to Send Cut Send and get 200 of them, you know.
I got you.
Yeah.
So,
That's something I want to do more of this year. Is well, um, I guess speaking of prototyping and stuff like that, but is closed die or open die forging.
hmm,
Michael got me a couple um, simple like little mouse and a frog one, but
I think I still owe
some
Michael an acorn die or
D,
something,
Yeah.
Dan.
don't I? I
Yeah, I
Can't
think I'm just
remember.
going to
forget.
send you mine.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I'm just going to
Acorn.
send you mine. Yeah, whichever one. Yeah, I'll just send you mine. I'm not using it.
I'll just
Um,
make you one
but
if
I
you
had
need it.
somebody gave me the idea the other day for making like figures, like they were making like gnomes and stuff like that, just bam, stomping it out of that.
Oh
And I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
that would be great for like the little skull keychains. I was like, if I could make like a really sharp die for that, where I could just like stick it in the fly press and wham, that would be nice.
yeah. I first saw those at Clay Spencer's shop, and when I took the Tire Hammer Tools class, we got to choose one open die to make, and I chose the acorn, and the other guy that was with me did a duck. Clay had a duck die where you could take a railroad spike, the head of the railroad spike,
Hmm.
and stick that in there, and it would smash it, and it would turn that, the elongated part of the spike, it would turn it into the duck's beak, and it
Oh,
would
that's cool.
stamp in an eye. It was pretty, yeah, it was pretty cool. So you could take just a standard railroad spike and stick it in there, and bam, bam, and
See,
then be a
I have not,
duck.
I tried making one of the frogs with that Mike gave me, and I tried using it on the power or the tire hammer, and I could not, I couldn't get it to like not double stamp and like shift around when I was trying to
Hmm.
do it. It might be that I just had too much material and it's like sticking out too high, so it's like able to move, and I maybe
Oh
need
yeah.
to use less material, and that might fix it. But I want to play around with some of that stuff and get better at it.
Yeah, the only new thing that I really kind of have planned for this year is the in-house prototyping with that table. And it's probably going to take me half the year to get
Yeah.
all that going.
I got the plans for the table, and I got the plasma cutter and the air compressor and the 3D printer, so I just need to. I'll probably just work on it a little bit at a time. I don't know anything
So
about the
I've
programming
started
though.
a well, and that sounds intimidating, but it's really not. They've got a Facebook group that you can join. If you haven't joined the Facebook group, you need to join that Facebook group.
Oh, okay.
They only allow people who have bought the plans to join the Facebook group. But there's a bunch of people in that group who have never programmed anything, and they've got step by steps where now you will need a computer,
Yeah.
with a USB to plug the little programming chip into the little chip that becomes the brains of the CNC machine. It's called an Arduino, I think. It's a little computer on a chip, but you'll need to plug that via USB into a computer. But they walk you through. They've got screenshots and video, and they walk you through how to program it. You know, the building and programming the tables, the easy part of that. The harder part is really learning Fusion 360 or some other program
Oh, okay.
to design and send stuff to the table. And
What do
that's
you
the
think?
that's the other part that I've got to get through this year. I've done a little bit in Fusion 360, but to really take advantage of a CNC table, I've got to spend more time at YouTube University, basically.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
think it would
got
be
a
good.
plate to make that hold down that you had the video of for your fly press. I just got to tap and drill and tap it, so
Oh yeah,
I got
the
the hold down stuff from Harbor Freight and all that.
the like what do they call it? They call it a bolster plate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll have a plate, you'll drill two holes to put big
Like
uh,
T screws or whatever.
T-nuts, T-screws or something on the side to hold that, in place. And then once you get that plate, some guys just drill a hole in the middle. Some people drift a hole. I've seen people drift a square hole right in the middle, like a 1 inch square, so that you can put hardy tools. Like I've seen guys they'll match whatever hardy diameter they have at their anvil so that all their hardy tools can then just fit in that bolster plate. They'll just drift that hole to whatever that diameter needs to be for their fly press to use their
Exactly.
hardy tools. That's a really cool idea. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
once you get that plate in there and you've got holes, I drilled and tapped 4 holes that I could then screw in those different hold down tools. And literally I just I've actually taken tire hammer dies before and put it on there and screwed it down in place.
Nice.
But those bolster plates for fly presses make the fly press a lot more useful.
Yeah, I'm really stoked about that. As soon as I
I
saw
wound
that,
up
I was like, "Oh, that's what I need."
Oh yeah, yeah. It just it's a way to do tooling. I made a plate. So my hydraulic press is an Uncle Al's Riverside machine press, and it takes 8 inch by 4 inch 3/8 plate. That's the blank for a die on that press.
Yeah.
And I made a receiver that goes underneath my fly press that holds those die plates. So I can take a die plate off my hydraulic press and slide it into place underneath my my fly press and
Does
Nice.
it
use the
also
same dies.
you could use the top die too?
I can't use the top die. So I have to make the top for the fly press to fit into the little socket.
Okay.
And I think on my big fly press, it has a 2 inch round receiver. And
Oh,
so
really?
I took a piece of
Damn.
1045 cylinder to a machine shop friend of mine and had him turn it down and had him drill a 1 inch hole in it. And then I drilled and tapped a hole in the side for a bolt. And so that I made it so that I can accept 1 inch round tooling in that
That's cool that I
press.
can do
Because
both though with just a little reducer like that.
yeah, yeah. And then my number 6 fly press, it has a 1 inch receiver. And so I've got several bars of just 1 inch round mild steel, and I'll just cut a chunk of that and weld whatever shape onto the bottom of it and stick that up in the press, and that
I
becomes
use
the
a lot
top
of
die.
1 inch jackhammer bits
Oh
um
yeah.
because I can get those at work. But it's cool because it fits right in there, and then it's got a perfect flat spot for the set screw to sit up against, and it holds it in line or whatever, so it doesn't want to twist or anything, and the screw just tightens right up to it, and you don't have to do anything.
The only other thing I'll suggest, and I may have told y'all this before when talking about fly presses, but so let's say you've got like so let's say this is going to be the round bar that goes up in your fly press. Put a collar on this. So like a collar that goes around it so that you've got something that the ram of the
Yeah,
fly press is sitting on. So what I do is I ordered these 1 inch round collars off eBay. They're little collars and they've got a set screw in it. And so I'll take one of those collars and I'll stick it around the piece of 1 inch and I'll zip a weld around it. I'll just weld it in place. And so that way that tool can't go up into the fly press any further. And basically all the force is on that collar. Because what can happen if you don't have a collar, if you just stick a piece of 1 inch bar up in there and set it with a set screw, you can theoretically upset that piece of 1 inch in your ram,
right.
Oh,
and
wow.
then it's not coming out, you know. And
Do
I've
you
heard of that happening to people.
do you guys ever use collets? Like if you put the 1 inch piece up in there, it's like a thicker piece of pipe. So say if you want to switch hammer eye punch out to an axe eye punch. You know what
Huh.
I'm talking
No,
about?
I haven't done that.
Coal iron makes them with the collet on them. I'm having a hard
Okay.
time. Yeah, I'm having a hard time trying to find a pipe that thick walled.
Oh yeah, you would want to find what do they call that kind of pipe? OD, not OD pipe, but
Are you talking about like steel pipe?
DOM. It's called DOM pipe.
Mm.
Yeah,
DOM has got super thick wall um that
Like
you can use
Schedule
it to
80?
make. Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just called, let me look it up. I think it's just called DOM pipe.
it would have to be at least
I
like a
think I got
quarter
a
of an inch thick wall.
Yeah, so
like
like yeah,
like
here's
this
some
is a piece of
DOM steel tube,
Oh
three
yeah.
quarter. Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at some that's got quarter-inch wall,
So
three-quarter OD, quarter-inch wall.
yeah. So if
yeah,
you
this
have to
is a
make a
piece of quarter inch.
so you could just make the punch part, you know what I mean, and lock it in there with the set screw.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
And
what
then
I'm
change it
saying?
out.
Instead of making it, and change it out to like an axe punch and
Yeah. That's the way I've got mine. I've got a set with a collet and punches that CJ Dufton made.
oh, cool.
For a while he was making these hammer eye punches with a collet that you could just weld onto a plate and make a die with. And so I've got a plate with his collet and then a couple of his hammer eye punches that he made, and they're really nice.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still makes them, but they're super super nice.
Do you use them in your fly press or?
I've really only used them in the hydraulic press. I've punched an eye with a fly press, but it was when I had my number four. It's been a while.
What size do you have now?
I've got a number nine and a number six.
Okay. I have a number 6.
And the six that's really all I need, you know. And the only reason I
Mike,
still have both of them is I just haven't been able to bring myself to sell one of them. I probably
yours is
should.
the one you got is an 8, right?
Yeah.
Michael. Okay.
Yeah, I had to think about it for a minute. Yeah, I got an
I
8.
was pretty sure it was an 8. It's a pretty beefy boy.
Yeah, I always wanted a
Yeah, the
6,
big
but
ones. I saw a number 10. What was that?
um, there was a 23 on Vintage Toolworks one time. You know that huge one?
Oh yeah, it was like what you call it?
You
I don't know. It's the
didn't even need
U-shaped,
Oh,
with a
like a full
big.
arch.
yeah, you
Oh,
didn't
it was
even need
huge. Yeah, it was
you didn't even need a
huge.
table for it. You just set it on the floor.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. You just about need two people to grab the arms and run around with it.
Yeah.
Do
That's
y'all
wild.
remember the Milwaukee Blacksmith show? They had a huge one in their shop. I mean,
Oh.
it was a two-person job. They would run around when they were using it. It
Oh
had to
yeah.
be like a number 15 or something. It was a monster. It was a big one.
Wow.
But
That's
the
pretty
bigger they
sweet.
get, the more room they take. This arm swinging around, you gotta account for that. And my number nine takes up a huge chunk of room in my small shop. And if I get rid of one, I'll keep the six and get rid of the big one.
Yeah. I'm really happy with mine. Uh, my biggest thing has been just making. It is one of those things that you have to dedicate kind of some time and effort to making the right tooling for it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it's not. It's not really something that you can like improvise. I have improvised some stuff pretty well, but it's like really hard to use a fly press and just like have like a top tool that you're like using. You know what I mean? Like you pretty
yeah,
much need to make the specific tooling for it. And if you
yeah.
have
But
that
once you
though,
do,
it's
yeah,
sweet.
once you do, I don't know if y'all saw I did a run of keychains a
Hmm.
couple of months ago for this Navy SEAL organization, and they wanted the Navy SEAL trident on a triangular, just a little triangular piece of steel with the trident stamped in it for a keychain. And I made a bunch of them, but I took the time and welded up. a jig to put on the fly press. And when I ordered the stamp to stamp their logo in it, I ordered the stamp with a round shank to fit in the fly press. So I put that stamp in the fly press, and then I rigged up a jig to hold the little triangular pieces just perfectly. And I used that quick attach system from Harbor Freight, and I lined up that bottom holder, and I did a couple of test bumps, until I had it where it was marking it perfect. And once I had it all set up, man, I cinched it all down super tight. And it was literally a matter of I'd walk to the induction machine, zap it with some heat, come back, boom, boom, and it was done. I mean, it
I
it
have figured out how to do
super,
that
super
where I'll just like
nice.
hold my punch, hold it under the fry set, whatever, hold it there, and then just stamp it with the fly press. And I
Oh
mean that
yeah.
works. That works great just doing that. It is crazy how much control you can have with that.
They're the only they are the only power forging tool I've ever used where you get a physical feedback. Every other power forging tool, a hammer, a treadle hammer, a hydraulic press, whatever, you're pressing something and then the force is happening away from you.
Yeah.
But with
Yeah,
that fly press, you really kind of feel what's going on. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of them. Just I don't ever want to be without one fly press. I don't
yeah.
really need two, but it's kind of a flex.
I just wanted it because it gave me another option besides the power hammer, the hydraulic press.
Oh yeah, yeah. And if I've had them set up where I've had a different die in each one of my tire hammers. I've had a die in the fly press. I've had a die in the hydraulic press. And the process will be go from this tool to that tool to the next tool down the line, and it speeds things up big time.
Yeah,
Super, super fast.
yeah. I mean, as a business, I think that's the best way to do it. Just so you don't have to change your
Oh,
dies,
yeah.
or so you don't have to change your coils on the induction forgers, like we were saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I get some heat, whenever I have a video and I've got my three tire hammers in there, but each one of those hammers has a different die set in it, you
Yeah,
know, and they're really set up for my grilling tools, and it 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 makes those grilling. So I'll start on one hammer. The next step, I'm on a second hammer. The third step, I'm on this hammer, and then I'm at the anvil,
Do
for a
you
little bit.
do you like the combo die on your tire hammer?
I do. Yeah.
Because I just have the flat dies, and I've thought about getting combo dies for like a long time. But you can still fit your you can still fit like a what do you call it, saddle,
Saddle.
yeah,
Hmm.
on the combo, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, you can make combos pretty easy. If you just took a die blank, the rectangular die blank, and just go to a grinder, mark a center line and just grind, you know, a radius halfway, that's basically what my combo die is. I just mine were made by Dave Custer. They're S7
yeah.
dies, and man, those things are tough, super tough. But my combo dies. So the way my tire hammers are set up, I've got a tire hammer set up with a 1 inch round fuller, basically a 1 inch round top and bottom, and then I've got a inch and a quarter round top and bottom, and then I've got that combo die, which is like a 2 inch radius. So having those three round radiuses all in a row is a big, big help.
Yeah,
yeah,
And then I'll use the flat, on the combo die quite a
right.
bit.
yeah. I think
Yeah, they're huge. I like
I
them.
use I use my combo dies a lot, for smaller stuff, but it's either that or the flat dies is I use the most.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a set of pretty aggressive combo dies for my 88, and I just put them in a couple of months ago, and I really haven't used them much. But they're like, I mean, It's got a combo dial. I mean, it's got an angled fuller on one side of the combo that's like this. It's super steep.
Yeah.
I'd
I
like to
use a
play with
lot
it
of
though.
spring swages and stuff. I'm constantly using spring swages or top tools or things like that. And I mean, I don't have a problem with them, but it's just something the longer I have it, the more I think like I wonder if it'd be worth it to get the combo dies.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I use my spring tools on my combos. You know, they
Do
don't get
you?
in the way of me using spring tools. There's still
That
enough
was kind
flat
of one of the
space.
major things where I was like, well, I don't want to not be able to use those or have to switch it out if I want to put a spring tool on it. So
Yeah.
that'd be a
Yeah,
big
they
advantage.
don't get in the way of using those tools.
Nice.
Well, what are y'all working on the rest of the week? Or
What do I
I
have?
it's the weekend. I mean, what's coming up next week?
I got a ton of axes, and I'm trying to figure out my frying pan handles. I'm trying to make something that's three dimensional, but not really a flat handle like everybody else uses.
Yeah. Are you going to do skull themed?
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit of both. I have a local
Yeah.
place where I have it's called Peddler's Junction, where I have a little booth, and I sell a lot of hooks there, and I'm thinking about putting a couple pans over there too.
You should do it. You should do it with the skull and the top face, and then do like a V swage. So it's like 3D, and it's got like the V on the bottom going all the way down the
Oh
handle.
yeah,
That'd be sweet.
yeah,
Make it so heavy that the pan won't sit flat. It just hang the handle.
yeah. That's what I'm trying to avoid is trying not to just so the pan sits there and it's like doing a wheelie,
The pan
you
just sits there like
know?
this. Yeah.
I didn't I didn't think about that, but yeah, if you've got
You can
a
call them
big
wheelie
three-dimensional
Cole
handle, it's
pans.
going to be heavy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I could get away with a half a pound. Um, but
Hmm.
I think I could probably do a little bit more, but I'm just in the testing phase right now.
Are you using steel rivets?
Um, yeah, I would like to use copper just so I could rivet them, without putting heat to them. And I think it looks a lot better too, but I'm just trying to find out where I could get some quarter-inch copper rivets.
I bet you could get them from McMaster Car.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. They don't have them on
That's where I order all
Amazon.
mine. Yeah, I order all my rivets from McMaster Car. They've got a really cool little iPhone app, and if I order a box of rivets today, they'll be here tomorrow morning by 10 o'clock. Like I
Oh
could order them
wow.
right now.
Dang.
I could order them right now, and they'd be here tomorrow. And
Yeah.
they every time they're super fast.
Yeah, I think like the coffee scoops, I think the copper rivets just look better, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. But you know what I found out recently? I made a copper bowl coffee scoop with an aluminum handle. It was like a pretty thin gauge copper compared to what I've been using, with an aluminum handle, and I had brass rivets in it. And I had a couple of people come out of the woodwork at me. They were like, "It's gonna, galvanic corrosion," you know.
Yeah.
And so but I knew about that before I made it. So what I do is like I get all the pieces ready to put together, and then I'll matte clear coat the section of the bowl and the handle where they're going to go together. So there's at least some protection between there. Um, and then I'll clear coat the handle and rivet it all together. But I did a deep dive looking it up the other day, trying to figure out, how bad is this thing going to get? And the worst case scenario is if somebody uses that with some kind of really acidic food and then never cleans it, it's
Yeah.
going to maybe get discolored, over a while. But it was crazy the number of people that wanted to come out of the woodwork and
Yeah.
attack me over the
This is
galvanic
like
corrosion.
when I was really into like uh bodybuilding, and I went and I got my personal trainer certification and all that, and I'd have people that hadn't worked out, hadn't dieted, hadn't done anything in 15 years or whatever, and I'd be sitting there eating, uh, I don't know, chicken and pasta or something, right? And they're like, oh, I really try this pasta. That stuff's gonna get you. And I was like, or they'd even worse would be like they'd be talking about like fruits or vegetables, like, yeah, you got to stay away, like carrots, they got a lot of sugar in them, so And I'm like, oh, is that what's making you fat? You're overeating carrots. That's that's
Yeah,
why.
that's
What are
not
you
the
eating?
that's
16
not the
pounds of
problem here.
carrots a day? Like, I bet it's the pizzas that you're loading up every couple days. Like, that's probably one of it.
Carrots aren't the culprit.
I'm telling you, I had people all the time that they wanted to be, they want to like start losing weight or whatever, and they'd start messaging me, is it okay if I eat this? Is it okay if I eat that? Can I eat this? And they would always be like, I read this article that said, strawberries are high in sugar or whatever. And I was like, okay, if you start having a problem where you're consuming like 14 pounds of strawberries a day and that's what's causing you to gain weight, we'll address it at that point. Until then, I
Yeah,
don't think the strawberries are going to be your problem, okay?
I have a couple of usual suspects, especially on Facebook, that kind of just want to, I guess, that want to let me know that their level of expertise in whatever it is. And inevitably I go look at their page. I'm like, what are you doing? Where's your work?
The guy that was explaining to you about what was it, planishing or hammer marks. He was talking about
Oh
I
yeah.
learned how to get
Yeah.
hammer marks away. He said,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you
I was
said you
like,
liked hammer marks, and he was like,
okay.
yeah, that was my excuse too until I got better.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just not there yet. I'll
I just,
keep at it.
you
Thank
just
you.
wanted you just wanted to look handmade.
Dude,
Yeah,
we
right.
need to make some t-shirts or at least stickers that say Derek Melton leaves hammer marks.
Mm.
I would
That
I
needs to be
would
a
I would
bumper sticker.
probably sell a few of them. Yeah. That's awesome.
That'd be so funny.
We're running up. We got 57 minutes here. I see that I'm looking at Hoop's screen and it says 0%. I don't
It
know what
says
that means, but
Mine says
what does it
26. I
say
don't
on
know
your
what those
side?
numbers signify.
Well, that
yours.
that number signifies how much of the podcast is uploaded. So when we finish here in a minute, Mike, check the app and see what it says. It might say that you got to leave the app open for a little bit to upload.
Okay, I gotta get out of here soon.
Yeah, but
I
it
I
should
got
be on your phone, I hope. But
yeah. Yours says 0%, Derek.
oh, okay, good. Well, on my side it says 99%. What does it say on your side? Are
26.
you
My,
seeing any numbers?
mine says 99%.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, I'm not worried about it then. I was worried that we were going to get through this whole conversation and nothing was going to be recorded, but I think we're okay. Um, I'm glad we did this. We need to do it again. I'm going to
Oh
start.
yeah,
I think my podcasting for this year is basically going to be all guests. I'm just going to do guest podcasts.
yeah. I like to listen to
Uh,
that. You know, yes.
Man, you're one of the few. I'm glad I sent you the medal that you got to the end of the podcast.
Yeah, now it means something.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to cut it off here in a second. In the meantime, if people want to find your work, Joey, where do they go?
So the best spot is probably the Instagram, which is at Bifrost underscore forge or Bifrost dash forge.com.
Gotcha. All right.
Either one of
We'll
those.
tag all that up. Make sure everybody knows how to find you. Hoops, what's the best way for people to find your work?
On Instagram, it's michael.hoops_BS, or you could just go to coaltownshipforge.com, and I
Got
have
it.
a lot of items there for pre-order.
So are you backed up?
Uh,
What's your wait time right now?
I would say it's 3 to 5 weeks.
Yeah. That's not bad. That's not bad for what you're getting, you know.
Yep.
I got to get over there to help
I
you
say
out.
I say my wait time is like 7 days, but right now it's more like 2 weeks. I need to update my website. And my website is just DerekMelton.com. Thanks for listening. See y'all next time.
Okay.
Anyway, I was probably going to
Later.
cut it off. So yeah, I'll see you guys. Thanks for coming. Holler at you later.
Okay.
See ya.
See ya. Bye.